SpongeBob SquarePants referenced the Nostalgia Critic on their show.
He's made it.
I guess they wanted to portray an internet YouTube reviewer type who was overly critical of movies and TV in nerdy, unnecessary, nitpicky ways. And they chose him as a caricature. So it's like a trout or something dressed up like the Nostalgia Critic. And then it's the tired joke of like, Mom, I live in my basement, Mom, or whatever. Can we, the I live in my mom's basement thing is so like, I don't know, just come up with a new one or at least and run with that for 10 years.
SpongeBob isn't on its freshest material like 20 years later.
I know. I just, whenever I hear like, these guys are probably living in their mom's basement, I'm always like, oh man, that's all you can come up with. But Doug in Doug form, he made a quick little video where he was like discovering it for the first time and he's heartbroken. And then he calls Bimmy. And he says, like, SpongeBob hates you.
It was so good. That was my favorite of his jokes in a long time.
I gotta do something about this.
Yeah.
SpongeBob doesn't like you.
The Righteous Gemstones had a fantastic episode recently.
Yeah, best episode, I think, of the whole series.
Yeah.
it all came together so artistically. Yeah. So, I mean, for those who going into deep detail for people who haven't seen it, probably won't like make any sense to them, but I'll just say, the Gemstone siblings who are kind of the main characters of the show. So, Danny McBride, Edie Patterson, and Adam Devine, they're abducted by their hillbilly cousins and uncle. Their father is like this megachurch pastor. And he has a sister that has this hillbilly kind of side of the family that's been really contentious with them. They've abducted the children to extort John Goodman, for $15 million. And they keep them abducted in a silo. And they say, we're going to kill one of them to show that we're serious. And just by this point in the series, the power of TV, we just know every character so well, and we're so amused by how each of them might respond to the situation. And at first you get this real thrill because each of the siblings has either a best friend or a spouse. And
Chief?
Quiche.
I think it's named Quiche. Chief.
Look, it's Kelvin's friend, Chief.
Oh, I think his name is Quiche.
I always heard it as Heath.
And so like watching each of them kind of in isolation discover that their spouse is in trouble and knowing that they're going to have to kind of like assemble their own little crew is like, you're just from the minute it starts, like, yes. Or even like when they're kidnapping the kids and Danny McBride's character is like hyper aggressive. He takes no shit off of nobody. And so, yeah, when like they make him, even though he's a dope, they make him smart enough to be like, he would know that this is somebody who's putting him in a threatening situation and he's got a gun at the ready, you know?
Yeah, he like fakes him out. He's like, oh, let me just get something in my car here. And
fuck up.
I left some in my car, my phone charged. Let me grab that shit real quick. Back the fuck up, cuz.
Like all great stories, like all great filmmaking, like all great, you know, there's Chekhov's gun, right? You set something up, you show that there's a plot element and you're going to pay it off later. You know, for anybody who's never really thought about like screenwriting, science, basically, like Back to the Future, is one of the greatest screenplays of all time because they in the first act, they set up a million things, clock tower, the band, his father's weakness with Biff, the fact that his uncle is in jail. They set up all these plot elements that when he goes back in time, you're going to see each of them weave their way back into the plot. And he's going to make his way all the way through all those plot elements back to where the story lives. It's like really, really masterfully crafted. Back to the Future 1. And, so you don't want to be setting things up that don't pay off later. I was thinking about that with the Mario Brothers movie, where I suddenly realized I was like, they set up in kind of a significant way that Toad is a cook. And they do nothing with the fact that Toad is a cook by the end of the movie. Like that should come screenplay, like, you know, conventional wisdom would tell you that like Toad should, he should be cooking at the wedding, maybe in a disguise, or he should at least like work at the pizzeria at the end of the movie or something. The cooking should come back. Right. There should be a little bit of balance in these things. But anyway, the big thing that they set up this season, and they did it from the first frame of this season, was the Gemstones own a monster truck, their own monster truck called the Redeemer. And it was gifted to these hillbilly cousins. And so it's on the compound where they've been abducted. And they also, since season 1, have been setting up that Danny McBride's son is a stunt driver. He's kind of like fallen out with the family because show business is not something that they support and blah, blah, blah. Bit by bit, he's become John Goodman's driver. So to make a long story short, and spoilers if you care, Gideon, the son, is able to kind of track them down to the compound, get in this monster truck, save his family.
Gideon?
How the hell does he know how to drive that thing?
Because he's my fucking son.
Some incredible cinematography of this flaming monster truck destroying outhouses and blowing through, this kind of this like out in the middle of the woods church is set to, and be like, as the suspense is building, they're singing this old hillbilly song, in California.
About California, it don't matter, it already played before.
The Gemstones are waiting to die, and they're kind of like singing the song too. I mean, like, again, like it's outrageous comedy from start to finish, but the characters remain in focus the entire time. The cinematography is always so motivated. The performances are on point. And when the moments are paid off, they're so meaningful to us if you've been paying attention, and the show makes it easy to pay attention. So I just can't say enough nice things about it. With Nina, she meant it tongue in cheek, but she was like, "This is the best show ever. Fuck Better Call Saul."
I mean, she's, I obviously Better Call Saul is awesome, but I can see, I sympathize with that. But I love the little details, like the when the hillbillies have the Redeemer, they're like playing like a kind of like a hair metal song, or when the Redeemer gets played. But then they change it to like more of like a banjo-y, like folky version of Redeemer, like Redeemer, like ding, 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 ding.
Nina's been reading the Bible, and she goes, "Oh, and it's Gideon as the Redeemer," and I was like, "Oh my God, how genius is that?"
Yeah, and he'll probably be offered like the keys of the kingdom, and he'll turn it down.
And if they do that, like, how great is that? Like, to actually like to this show that could otherwise just take a big shit on religion, instead like understands that like even when it's parodying religion, sort of it has its roots in religious stories. I think that's really great.
Yeah, and I never feel like they're I mean, they're obviously like making fun of some stuff, but I don't feel like it's ever mean. Like they always care about the characters. They always so it never feels like it's making fun of religion like meanly.
Well, Doug Walker said this in his review of Barbie, of all people, of all of all the prophets. Doug Walker, he said of Barbie's politics, he was like, I just object to like the characters should inform the commentary. The commentary shouldn't inform the characters, right? And I think that like when Righteous Gemstones is being cultural or political, and it does. I mean, it's dealing with religion. It's but the characters are first. The characters are driving all of that first and foremost. And I think like all of Danny McBride's work, especially as it relates to like the South and like Southern culture, he's from it, right? So like it'd be like if I made something about Massachusetts. Like I could make fun of Massachusetts all day long, and but I'm not
got family there.
I'm not going to indict Massachusetts, right? Yeah, exactly.
You got to come back for Thanksgiving. You don't want to be awkward.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.